Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Journey Through Grief Tools for Support and Compassion. This is a three-part series that we are partnering with Mary Washington Hospice and Grief Support Services to present. I'm Erin Creighton. I'm the Adult Services Department Head and Assistant Branch Manager here at the Fredericksburg branch. I'm very pleased to be joined by Mary Bevan. She is the Community Bereavement Liaison, and by Catherine Wall, who is the coordinator of volunteers for Mary Washington Hospice. And we are actually joined today by one of their volunteers. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. So today we're here to talk about what is hospice, a little bit about describe what hospice entails, common misconceptions about hospice, and then an overview of our Mary Washington Hospice volunteer program and grief support services. So welcome to all who are here. And I just want to say I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to listen. And I hope that it is very beneficial to each of you. So hospice, if you don't know, is very unique in its concept of healthcare and programs that are out there for healthcare. And the uniqueness of it is that we are end-of-life care, and we provide comfort care versus curative care. And we are the only healthcare entity currently that is a Medicare benefit that offers the services that we do, which is a team approach. We have a team approach. We have medical care and pain management and emotional and spiritual support. So on our team, we have the doctor, we have the nurses, we have chaplains, and we also have social workers and certified nurses aides. And the big one is volunteers, at least from my perspective. And that is a team concept that works together to provide the quality end-of-life care for life-limiting illnesses or injuries. And ongoing support is also provided after the death with our bereavement programs. So there's a lot of common misconceptions about hospice that we hear all the time. And so I want to just cover a couple of those. It's expensive. Medicare is one of the providers of hospice care, and private insurances also now have jumped on board and have what is called a hospice benefit. Majority of what is offered through hospice is covered by those entities, Medicare and your insurance. However, if you have neither, Mary Washington Hospice will also, as a nonprofit, we provide care regardless of the ability to pay, which is very important. And we feel very dedicated to that. If you have to sign a DNR to qualify for hospice. That is not true. A lot of people believe it is. However, hospice doesn't require that. Most people do end up maybe signing a DNR, which is do not resuscitate order, once they realize that they are now under comfort care and there is no longer a cure for their condition. However, it is not a requirement, and it is up to the patient and the family to make that decision. If you're in hospice, you can't see your regular doctor. You're always offered to keep your regular doctor. It is between you and the doctor to decide if you want to keep your doctor. Either way, we have our medical doctors that oversee your care as well. So they can always elect one of our providers. Hospice care ends when the patient dies. Again, no, that's not true. Again, we provide 13 months of bereavement support after the patient dies. That's for the family and the next of kin, the primary caregiver, whoever is elected at that time. And then we also support any others that desire that support after the death of the patient. And Mary is a big part of that. And she has also provides bereavement support out to the community that were not on hospice. So some hospices are for-profit organizations. They're not all the same. I would like to say that Mary Washington is definitely not the same as most. I think we have a lot of uniqueness to us. We are a nonprofit. We provide care regardless of the ability to pay, and we provide therapies that most hospices don't, and that's massage therapy, music therapy, and at times we've had art therapy as well. So let's talk about the important reason we're here today, and that is volunteers. I am proud to say that I have the top quality volunteers with Mary Washington Hospice, and there's several areas that you could volunteer if you're interested. There's patient care, which means you go into the homes or the facilities and assist the families and the patients with different activities. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit. Bereavement calls, and that's coming into the office and making phone calls after training with our bereavement counselor and or Mary to get trained on, bereavement calls and supporting people during their grief periods. Pet therapy, if you have a Alliance of Pet Therapy certified dog, we do pet therapy with our patients. Vigil volunteers. Vigil volunteers are volunteers that go into the homes and the facilities, mostly facilities, when the patient is very near the end of life and the family asks for support or the patient has no family. The volunteers would provide bedside vigil with that patient so that no patients die alone. And that is one of our goals, is that no patient dies alone and that there's someone there. And again, it's by request, but the team will look out for that patient, and the families sometimes need that break. So our volunteers are well trained and they go in and they can sit at the bedside during that time. Tuck-in calls are done here in the office. Again, that's weekly calls. We call the home patients, the facility patients, and the volunteers will call on the phone, check in with the family and the patients, see how things are going, see if there's any needs they have before the weekend gets here. And also just to have a conversation with them, somebody to talk to. And we ask, what can we do better? What else is needed? So they have the opportunity to share with us. Administrative tasks, there's always special projects in the office, either between myself, Mary, other entities of the office, where the volunteers can contribute their skills and talents and all of that, doing all kinds of different administrative tasks. We do mailings and different things like that. Community outreach, again, we go out in the community, do different things. We have tabling events. Mary does several community events with the grief programs. And so there's always those opportunities as well. And then veteran to veteran volunteers. You can go to the next slide. All right. What volunteers do, some people are like, oh, I don't know that I could do that. I promise you there's an extensive training program that we do. And our goal is always to make sure the volunteers feel comfortable before they are offered any kind of duties or responsibilities with our patients and families. So we do have a well-established and comprehensive training program. They can provide family caregiver relief that would either, again, be in the home or in the facilities, companionship or emotional support to the patient and the family. And we consider the caregiver and the family as important as the patient. So sometimes it's volunteers do more for the caregivers, or as much for the caregiver as they do the patient. Light housekeeping, dusting, sweeping, maybe making a light meal for the patient or the family, running errands, and then any things like that, even yard work sometimes, if that's something that you enjoy doing or the family has a need for. So sometimes delivering supplies or other packages that we have come up with that drop off at the different homes and patients' rooms at the facilities. Volunteers don't, and this is very important, have anything to do with dispensing medication. They are not expected to stay overnight. We do not stay overnight, let me put it that way. And then they don't take the place of a primary caregiver or a paid caregiver. Volunteers typically will offer 1 to 4 hours per visit and 1 to 4 visits per month. So it's really on your schedule, what your availability is and what the need of the family is. But the general rule is 1 to 4 hours per week. And you don't toilet or change the patient's briefs. So one of the biggest programs that we have every Veterans Day, and we have a program called We Honor Veterans. It's a national hospice and palliative care organization program that gives hospices different levels, but there's specific things that we do under that. We honor all the veterans that come on our service with a certificate and a citation. We try to honor them and make sure that they know that they are appreciated and that their service was valuable. They have unique needs at the end of life, which are better addressed when they feel understood by another veteran. So we try to match veterans with veterans. So if you're a veteran out there and you're interested in supporting this program, please get in touch with us. We are always looking for additional veterans to match up with our veteran patients. It is unique. It is a culture, and they really appreciate when they can talk to a a similar veteran. So it's designed to provide better access and information that can help hospice serve and honor veterans in their care and in our community. So one of the statistics is 1,800 veterans die each day. Now we're in the era of the Vietnam veterans and Korean veterans. Very few World War II or World War I veterans left. So 1,800 probably is a low number. That's what we're experiencing now. We're in need of veterans and active duty. They support our patients and families at the end of life. We also go into all the nursing home and facilities during Veterans Day. As you saw the picture previously, was a group of Marines that come down from Quantico to help with that. And we go in and honor all the veterans that we can on Veterans Day in the facilities that will partner with us. And it's never too late to thank a veteran.
My name is Charlotte Hartman, and I'm a volunteer. Oh. Yes. I'm just getting up a little closer here. My name is Charlotte Hartman, and I'm a volunteer. I started volunteering for hospice in 2021 after my sister had passed away, and I saw all the benefits of hospice. At that time, I was with a different hospice group. They were in the Fredericksburg area, and I didn't, because of several losses, my husband, my sister, and a brother, 2 brothers, I was not ready to do any face-to-face. So I was doing tuck-in calls, and I did tuck-in calls for a long time. And it was very interesting. With many people, I really got to know the people when I would do the tuck-in calls. It was very rewarding to call and find out what they needed and if they had any concerns. And I enjoyed it very much. But that group left the area, and I was still doing tuck-in calls because I could still do it, but I wanted to get more involved. So I came to Mary Washington Hospice. And one of the things, because I had joined in 2021, I found it, I needed to go through the training when I came to Mary Washington Hospice. And because when I originally got involved with hospice, it was during the pandemic, and all of the training was online. I had to go through and read through all of the things. And coming through the Mary Washington training, I found it to be invaluable because I was in-person training. And, you're going through this training. And of course, one of my motivations was to get more involved than just doing tuck-in calls. And you are in it with other people. There are sometimes questions that other people might ask that I hadn't even thought of asking about aspects that I had not yet done. And so I found the in-person training to be invaluable because, the things you could ask in person that might hit you because somebody else had asked another question. And it was very thorough. Reading it was not the same as being in an in-person training, and very thorough training. I've been involved in inpatient care, mostly in the home, going to patients' homes, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. You find the patients, you meet them, you meet the families, and I just find it very rewarding. And I've also been in the admin area. I also enjoy that a great deal. And
my right arm in the office.
Well, and I just find these, and I've done some vigil visits, and so, and there you're really doing so much for the family if you can be there when they cannot be there. And I just find every aspect I've been involved in to be just a rewarding thing. So anyway, that's and grief support. I don't make the calls. I just do some things for Mary, and I co-facilitate some grief support group. So I've been involved I have successfully gotten more involved. So anyway, but there are many things you can do. You can get involved in one thing. You can get involved in multiple things. And I've also gone to the Veterans Day ceremonies at the nursing homes and the various facilities. So it's all a rewarding experience to be able to do something for any of the people who are in hospice care.
Thank you, Charlotte.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Now I'm going to get out of this.
So we're going to flip over and start talking about grief support services and what we offer and ways to volunteer. And at the end, I'll put up Kathy's information and she'll talk a little bit more about what you need to do in order to start volunteering. So grief support services is kind of an arm of Mary Washington Hospice. And the mission is to nurture individuals and families along their grief journey as they cope with the death of a loved one. And so the way that we do that is through this process that we call companioning. And it's actually from Dr. Alan Wolfelt. He's the one that coined that term. And so we've adopted that as our kind of mode of offering support. And really, it just means walking alongside people. So we're not coming in as the, expert who have all the answers and can solve all the kind of grief problems. But really just having and creating space where people can be with others who understand what they're going through, who maybe have been through other similar situations and might have some tips and tricks that helped them on their journey. But the goal really isn't to solve anything, but more to be together and to be in a safe place where you feel understood. One of our primary goals is to connect people with other grieving people. And then we do provide education, both during our support groups, but also we do programs in the community to offer education about grief. As Kathy said, hospices offer the 13 months of bereavement support to those who that hospice serves. So if you had a loved one that was cared for by Mary Washington Hospice, your loved ones you're entitled to receive that 13 months of grief support through Mary Washington Hospice. Grief Support Services also supports many of those people, but we are open to anybody in the community. So if your loved one passed away with a different hospice as support, if the passing was sudden and you didn't even have any hospice support, maybe your loved one died in a different state, it doesn't matter. You are welcome. And you do not have to have any affiliation with Mary Washington Healthcare or Mary Washington Hospice. Our services in grief support are complimentary. We do require registration just to make sure that you're in the right group, or maybe you would benefit from some individual support before joining our group. And that's something that I assess when you call. But none of our programs require a cost to participate. And then I did just want to mention that grief support is specifically for the death of a loved one. And there are lots of other valid types of losses that people experience, divorce, house fire, lots of different things, moving. But our support is specifically for the death of a loved one. So like Charlotte, for example, is one of our grief support group facilitators. And so we have all these different types of groups that we offer, and all of them are facilitated by volunteers. Family Expressions is our family support group. So I lead that one in collaboration with volunteers. But if you are interested in becoming a grief support volunteer, similar to Kathy, we do an extensive training where you will, receive the training in order to be a group facilitator. And also to understand a little bit more about the grieving process and what's normal, what would be a red flag that you would maybe bring to my attention, that kind of thing. Two of the things that we have that are a little unique is a book study. So we study a book by that same person I mentioned before, Dr. Alan Wolfelt. The book is called Understanding Your Grief. And then we're also going to be doing a writing group coming up in August and September for anyone who's bereaved and wanting a place to kind of process that. As I said, we do a lot of grief education. We put on our own programming. Usually we call it Grief 101. Where it's just kind of education about what the grieving process looks like. Volunteers for this would be helping like with setup and check-in, greeting people. We do coping with grief during the holidays. Generally need quite a bit of support with this one as it's usually well attended. But again, setting up, maybe helping get stuff ready before the event, and then kind of being a participant. We also do a kind of sharing small group time. So I need grief group facilitators for that as well. And then we do a lot of programs in the facilities and over 55 communities, meeting with residents, providing education, doing support groups, all sorts of different things. One of the biggest programs we have is Camp Rainbow. This is hosted every year in the spring. It is a day camp for kids age 5 to 12 who have experienced the death of a loved one. And you'll see that picture there is from our camp that we just had this past spring. Those are our volunteers. You get a t-shirt that says Camp Rainbow on it. Again, there is a pretty extensive training. You need to get a background check and fill out an application just to make sure that our kiddos are going to be in good hands while they are with us. And we are nurturing them. So the training is about 2 hours, and then the camp itself, the time commitment is about 9 hours by the time you get there and then pack up at the end. But it is just a one-day event. Okay, Kathy, you're back up.
All right. So that was a lot of information, just a little bit of history. Hospice in the United States started out as an all volunteer service. And one of the requirements that we have for our Medicare is that all 5% of all care that's provided by us has to be done by volunteers. So it's very important that we maintain our volunteer core of people. And if you are interested, after hearing everything today, you can contact me, the volunteer coordinator, at that number there, at that link. You can send me an email and I will be right on it and send you out an application and all of the next steps, if you will. Then you complete and submit your application. We do require a flu shot for all those that do patient care. We do a background check. And again, as we talked about, the training and we require 3 references, and we will provide the TB test here with our health and wellness. Then you get a badge, and then we talk to have it one-on-one, sit down, talk about what your desires are, what your goals are, and where is best to place you. And you get to decide exactly how you want to support Mary Washington Hospice families and patients. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from you. You can also go to the Mary Washington Healthcare website and plug in hospice, and it'll also give you a direct link to the application. So I hope that this was beneficial. Please, if you're interested, bring a friend along with you.
And I put my contact information as well in case you know anybody who could benefit from grief support, or if you want to hear more about our programs.
Thank you guys so much for being here. While we wait to see if we have any questions, I honestly, obviously grief can happen at all ages, but hearing about the support system for kids who may not know how to process their grief, that was very touching. I get a little awkward. I apologize, but no, it was very nice to see the options for all ages for support systems, which is quite wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the greatest things that we offer is that we really are throughout the whole lifespan, right? We can serve children all the way through adults who are experiencing end of life. Yeah.
That's amazing. And Charlotte, your story of your sister was quite powerful too, to take something like that, to turn it into such a positive force of giving back to the community is so amazing.
That's where volunteers come from.
Yeah.
People have experienced hospice and know the benefits of it. And so it is wonderful, but if not, it's still okay. We need all volunteers.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're definitely part of the community. And that's the one thing that I admire the most about Mary Washington is that, especially with Mary's programs, for a while during COVID, we were not able to provide those things in the community. And there's such a big need out there. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of things that happened, during COVID for people's safety, it did have those other impacts that you don't even think about. So really making sure that people know that you're not only welcoming volunteers back, but you're excited to have them and to share their such amazing impact with us. I think that's just so special. So thank you guys both. Thank all of you for being here today. It doesn't look like we have any questions. Please get in contact with them. I shared their application link and their website link in the comments, or reach out directly to Catherine or Mary if you do have questions later. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. Thanks for having us. And I'll look forward to seeing you back in August, and we'll talk about supporting friends.
Yes, we'll be here for one more part of our 3-part series in August. Thank you guys so much. All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.